In Becastled, you spend your days building your castle and your nights defending it from ever stronger waves of enemies. It's great, a medieval mix of base building, real-time strategy, and tower defense. But above all, I see it as an economy game, and that's exactly how I'm going to play it. I haven't played since the beta. After a clever world name and randomizing the seed, I will be playing the default Castle on a Hill map, increasing the difficulty to 4. Knigget. Everything else is standard. The first thing I need to do is determine a location for my castle. I can pause time while I search for an appropriate spot. I'm looking for an open area for housing that's close to wood, food, and if possible, stone. Next, I'll place a sawmill to start my wood income because wood is needed for pretty much everything in the early game. In order to expand my kingdom's population, I need to build housing for them to live in. Now that my sawmill has finished construction, I need to assign workers to it. After a quick scout of my nearby tiles, I purchase one for 160 wood, assigning workers to the first sawmill and placing a second one in the new tile. It won't be long before I'm out of food, so I build a hunter's hut to start gathering some, making sure to assign workers to the second sawmill. Buildings won't produce anything if they don't have anybody working in them. My population is now capped, so I need to build more housing to continue my growth. Time spent at the population cap is wasted time. As you can see, when I assign workers to the hunter's hut, I don't have any available yet. To help my population grow more quickly, I need more happiness. Placing down a tavern will increase the happiness of the houses surrounding it in a radius. To progress my game, I'm going to need to purchase research in the tech tree. Stone is the next most valuable resource to wood early on, so I unlock Stone Quarry. My tavern finishes building and I assign a worker that I again don't have yet. But I'll soon have access to one of the most broken buildings for growing my population. In preparation, after expanding my housing, I build my first stone quarry. There are hostile entities on the map, like these wolves, that are a little bit too close to this cow tile for my liking. Different tiles contain different resources, and I need more food. I can send my starting troops to deal with the wandering wolf, but I need these guys ready for tonight's wave, indicated by the floating blue crystal. As night falls, the enemy forces spawn, and it's up to my brave defenders to fend them off. Luckily, the first wave is quite easy to manage. Back to this cow tile. I can now build a farm on it. I continue expanding my housing and realize that I'm a little bit short on cash for the church technology. On the first tile that I purchased hidden amongst the woods is a sunstone node, which I can harvest gold from with a sunstone workshop. Once it's constructed, I assign workers to it, and these wolves need to be dealt with. But first, I realize that I have way too much stone. I can upgrade all of the buildings that I have built thus far, but not until I upgrade my castle. I do just that, increasing my stone income by upgrading the quarry and adding a third worker, doing the same to my sawmills. Oh, right, I'm saving for the church, which I now have enough money for. Ever the distractions. A quick minute later and I have the stone needed to build my first church. Now, arguably the most important technology that I'm going to be going for via caravans here is the resource exchange. In order to get those, I need to unlock markets, another important early economy building. I look for an area where I can stamp down a bunch of markets in close proximity. As I place them down, you'll notice that being close to each other gives markets a bonus of 10% per adjacent market. Instead of clicking on each market individually to assign a worker, I can simply do it from the Workers tab on the sidebar. Right, now, I want to build my church. The church will increase the happiness of surrounding houses in a large radius. It's kind of insane. I'm under 2 minutes away from the next wave, and clicking on the clock will center my camera on said incoming wave. Holding my mouse over the clock will also show me which path the wave will follow towards my castle. I can place my troops here, giving my archers some time to fire on the enemies before they engage with my swordsmen. While I wait for my church to build, I'll continue upgrading some of my existing buildings using more stone. By the way, those 4 markets increased my gold income from plus 140 to plus 556. I expand my housing a bit more, but I'm pretty tapped on wood. This is a problem that I'm looking to resolve with the resource exchange. The second wave is harder, and did I say archers? Apparently I lost one? If I'm not mistaken, unlike in the beta, the church no longer revives soldiers. That's a job for the medical tent. I'm pretty beat up after that wave, so I need to start investing in my military. I'll start with more archers, building a range to train them at. I'm actually capped on gold right now, so I can remove the workers from my sunstone workshop, assigning them elsewhere to stay productive. Once my archery range finishes, I queue 5 archers to train, then reassigning those workers to the sunstone workshop since I'm no longer capped. Sorry about that, fellas. The management here is all over the place. The next wave is coming along the same path, but now I have way more firepower. Though so will they. This number indicating the wave size will increase as it continues to gather. And now I pretty much have to just sit here waiting for wood to come in. Finally, I earn enough buying caravans and the resource exchange. Now in the trading post sidebar, I can freely exchange goods for gold. Buying a resource repeatedly in a short time frame will increase the cost of it, but that will cap. Need more wood for some more tiles? Easy. I can build another farm, and this flour tile will allow me to grow wheat, the best food source in the game. Now that I can scale my economy with gold, I buy a bunch more markets. They now receive an 80% bonus. I assign all of the workers as my gold income skyrockets from 506 to 1,386. It's important that I continue expanding my housing as well. I don't want to hit the population cap again if I can help it. It's high time I started gathering the next resource, iron. I expand my territory, unlock the tech, and after a bit more gold for wood, place my first iron mine. The next wave is upon me, but my elevated archers rain down on the attackers, and I emerge from the night's combat bruised, but with no losses. On the sidebar, I can enable the happiness overlay, showing benefits and irritants to my population. I've purposely kept my production buildings further away from my housing, as some production buildings have a small radius of negative happiness effect. I think the answer for my military is to simply mass archers. I queue another 8 to train. It's high time that I deal with these wolves, finally sending my forces their way. I'm going to need more and more stone, expanding towards 2 more stone tiles and capturing 1. This tile next to my new iron mine has another resource, horses. They will allow me to build a couple of caravans to further bolster my income, but first, I've put this off for way too long. I'm going to build a couple of warehouses and a couple of barns. Warehouses increase my maximum storage of wood, stone, and iron. Barns store food. Oh, my troops have engaged the wolves. They're fine on their own, actually. I have so many archers now that I'm just gonna keep building more markets to bolster my economy. Their bonus caps at 100%, but I'm going to continue building more and more markets. To further increase my income, I'll finally build a second sunstone workshop on this tile. I am constantly purchasing more wood. I fill my new buildings, but it seems I'm out of new residents again. I purchased some stone to upgrade my church. Assigning a second worker here doubles the church's happiness buff. I then aggressively expand my housing, building a second tavern to cover the new houses. I pick up the treasury technology and smack a couple down next to my other storage buildings. Treasuries increase my gold capacity. While I'm staring at them, I'll purchase some stone to upgrade these buildings as well, further increasing their capacity. I'm starting to feel my economy snowball, so I purchase the Builders Guild and Palisade if I feel the need to start building some defensive walls. I'm going to build build 2 of the Builders Guilds. Workers here will be dedicated builders, also serving to repair damaged buildings. And it's a good thing that I can do that now, because I totally forgot about the wave. No, not my markets! Have mercy! My soldiers arrive and quickly overpower my attackers, but I really need to focus on these, as every 5th night is a blood moon, a force of increased difficulty to regular nights. I'll unlock the smithy technology and get one building while I place a 2nd archery range. And I did the thing. I capped on population. Nice thing I caught it early. I expand my housing significantly, adding another tavern along the way. Back at the smithy, I upgrade it, allowing them to work on 2 upgrades at once. I can now upgrade my forces, but I'll come back to that in a second. I'm not gaining the full potential from my wheat fields. To reap more benefits, I unlock Bakery, leading towards Windmill. Oh, once I can afford it. More markets, please, but I will eventually hit a point of diminishing returns with these markets. Oh yeah, the stone tile I captured. I'll harvest that and then get totally distracted from Windmill and buy Butcher Shop. I can hit the upgrade button on my toolbar to quickly upgrade some of this housing as my stone income continues to grow. Butcher shops give a bonus to nearby structures that generate meat. Hunters' huts, fisheries, cows, I hope? I need everything that I can get right now. My food situation is looking pretty dire. Soon after, I have everything I need to purchase the windmill technology, but it's quite late in the day. It's time to face the blood moon. I'm starting to see more dangerous enemies. Look at this unit. But my archers quickly overpower the wave, claiming an easy victory over my first blood moon. Early the next day, I purchased the final tech in the windmill line, Advanced Agriculture, so now I can maximize my wheat cell. With it, I can build a 3rd wheat field on this cell, then 1 bakery and 1 windmill will perfectly process those 3 fields wheat into flour, then bread. This is the best single food source in the game. Like my warehouses, barns, and treasuries, I need a place to store more soldiers. One sec, I just need to buy the resources, and then the barracks tech. I build one right away, queuing up a bunch more archers to train and continuing to upgrade my housing because I capped again. I'm getting quite full on iron, so it's high time that I invest in upgrades for my archers. I purchase the fire arrow technology, select my archers, and upgrade as many as I can with the fire arrows. That'll keep the smithy busy for a minute. I finally build that trading post that I mentioned on the horse tile and claim more nearby territory. I build a 3rd sunstone workshop and my first fisherman's hut for more food. I am just barely keeping up with my population's needs, and food is going to become way more scarce very soon. It's autumn right now, and winter is coming. In preparation for the cold, I buy the charcoal kiln technology. At my new trading post, I can purchase 2 caravans after upgrading the building. That's another 500 gold income right there. Before I know it, the next wave is upon me. Many of my archers are now sporting fire arrow upgrades, and I absolutely dominate this wave. The attackers don't even make it to my front line. Then I discover something interesting. I think I've built my buildings a little too close together and broken some paving. Sorry fellas, you're just gonna have to deal with it for now. I upgrade my treasuries, so my gold cap is now 12,000, 6 times what it was originally. With winter on my mind, I keep expanding to new food sources, and I won't say no to more wood income. Oh right, the next wave. I'll deploy my army here to protect my buildings tonight. Look at me being proactive. I have to stay on top of my housing, filling out the rest of this area. If I build any closer to the production buildings, you can see the debuff to happiness appearing. I build a new hunter's hut and butcher shop in my new tile, then purchasing another and placing a fisherman's hut within the radius of that same butcher shop. Good job, me. I'm not done either. I purchase another nearby tile, establishing another sawmill, and reach even further to another stone tile. I want it all. These guys are not figuring it out, so I'll just delete them and hope it doesn't happen again. I continue ripping through gold, purchasing wood and expanding my empire. I want resources. I want all of the resources. I claim another 3 tiles beyond that, establishing more food, wood, and iron income. I'm out of room for more housing over here, so it's time to really invest in upgrading it. I'll also build a second church to continue expanding said housing. No houses buffed by 2 churches do not receive the buff twice. Same with taverns and other happiness buffing structures. The next wave is on its way, and I once again completely crush it. The fire arrows and my now 50 archers are not to be trifled with. The next day starts with a very unhappy kingdom. It's the first day of winter, and though I researched charcoal kilns early, I didn't build any. Whoops. I guess I'll allow my citizens to heat their houses this winter. I'm gonna deal with these wolves, and you may notice that now in the winter, trees do not grow back every morning. Also, my wheat fields are obviously not producing in these temperatures. Speaking of, get these kilns fired up. I free up some workers from the sawmills, and my happiness recovers as heat returns to the hearths of my kingdom. I think I've grown enough to now focus in on this tech tree. I buy hospital tent, stairs, mansion, herbalist, library, wooden walls, and stone walls. I will want to start enclosing my kingdom in walls very soon. It happened again with the pathing over here, so I'm just gonna destroy and rebuild it all. I think I built a little too tight here, he says as he starts sandwiching buildings together again. It was the hill's fault, not my building, right? Oh well, I rebuild everything, adding a melee training camp and a hospital tent. Oh, I see those wolves are gone. Well, come up here, my army, but I want them to stay out of range of this tower. There are 4 of these on the map, and destroying them triggers boss waves, which I'm not quite ready for. Speaking of, I want to bolster my defensive technology with wood towers and siege weapons. And 1 second. Stone towers. You can see in this lunar tower lies the Lunar King boss. He's who would join a forced blood moon wave were I to take down this tower. No thanks, I'll just crush another wave easily. I continue purchasing new tiles and increasing my economy. At a certain point, I will need to stop this and shore up my position. But not today. My income these days is plus 4,690, but I'll soon hit a point of not being able to gain any more from markets. There are only so many goods that I'm generating, like leather from my hunter huts. I want to continue investing in technology too, purchasing training area and 2-handed knight. Swordsmen, knights, and pikemen are my melee options. Swordsmen are the tankiest, knights deal high AoE damage, and pikemen are more frail but strike at a bit of a range. Swordsmen and knights are all I'm going to be getting in this playthrough. I decide that this is finally enough expansion. It's time to start building some walls around my territory. The wave is, once again, no match for my army. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, building a wall. Now that I have the mansion technology, I'm going to build them instead of houses. They can house a higher density of population than houses, even though I clearly have room to spare. I grab the decorations, which can add to happiness, pikemen, which I don't use, taxes, and vegetable technologies. I build a couple of training camps so that new soldiers can train to level 2. That way, I can get fire arrows on them right away, which dramatically increases their damage. I follow this with a couple of siege workshops and another training camp. Sure. I upgrade them all, queuing some trebuchets to build. They can be affixed to the top of defensive towers once I build them. I purchase a bunch of unit upgrades, zeroing my iron, but my army is that much stronger now. I also decided to set a low tax on my kingdom. This increases revenue, but decreases happiness. A trade-off that in hindsight, I don't feel is worth it. Speaking of trebuchets, I really could have used one tonight. The waves are getting nastier, and these new units don't seem to be taking damage from my archers. Look at those shields. I kind of panic and sit looking stunned at the monitor as my army is completely carved apart by these 2 units. I really wish I had another damage source, but my melee units died early in the night. Fortunately, as I sit there in total shock that I just blundered my entire runaway, the time transitions to day and the indestructible bad guys melt away, so I'm free to carry on? I mean, okay. Let's start the day by training an entire new military. I need more population to train them, so I'll invest in some of these decoration pieces to add even more happiness to my kingdom. The higher my happiness, the faster the rate of gaining new residents. The next wave is coming from a side that I've walled in. Haha, idiots. So I'll shore it up with some wooden spikes and build my first towers. 4 should be a good start. I've capped my food storage again, so I'll build a few more of all 3 storage buildings so that I never need to worry about capping my resources again. I'm building so aggressively right now that most of my projects are sitting unbuilt, so I'll add a couple more builders guilds. As my stone towers finish, I can install siege weapons on top of them. I'll be using both trebuchets and ballistae, but in the future, I'll likely stick to only trebuchets. I can position my archers on the wall to fire down on tonight's wave, which is here before I know it. Instantly, my trebuchet starts hurling boulders at my enemies, and a good thing too, because they brought siege towers this time. My archers, in combination with trebuchets, pick apart the enemy wave in no time flat. The enemy siege towers do manage to unload some troops onto my walls, but I make it through with 0 losses. I'm still dealing with pathing issues in this area. Time to rebuild again. At this point, I want to shore up my entire perimeter. I've noticed that my economy is no longer growing. In fact, with the maintenance on my new siege weapons, my income is shrinking. Instead of continuing to capture more lands and resources, I'll just reinforce my existing position. Well, mostly. I'll buy a few more tiles on these flatlands just for a nicer perimeter. I'll install gates where it makes sense and continue building stone towers for more siege weapon real estate. Now that I've decided to stop growing, I want to put every resource into my defenses, aiming for full coverage of my walls. In hindsight, I may have overdone it a little. My population still isn't growing nearly as fast as I would like it to. At 189 citizens, I'm around half of my capacity, and even with plus 50 happiness, my generation cannot keep up. I'll buy these last 2 tiles to make my perimeter a little less bumpy, and I'm all ready to another wave, which I completely messed up. The enemy pathing seems to change dynamically as I build walls, so the wave that was originally coming up top here is actually heading down. Oh boy, come on army, run faster! I have no idea why they came to this position. It's solid walls. The other position had a gate and coverage from trebuchets. Luckily, the fools ran across my walls towards my position from last night's wave and into those trebuchets. I manage my way through without losses, but another wave is inbound. I scrape through the night, still with no losses, but that could have gone so much worse. No, archers, don't attack that yet. I'm still not ready for a boss wave. I'll reinforce this position now, so hopefully that won't happen again. After so many distractions, I still have technologies to unlock. I'll grab elite warriors and banner bearers, 2 technologies aimed at improving my army even more. The reason that I'll likely skip ballistae in my next playthrough is because the ammunition requires iron. Iron, which I'd rather invest in upgrading my army. Upgrades to armor, fire arrows for my archers, and eventually, when they've earned enough experience, I can now upgrade them to elite soldiers, which are silly strong compared to the level 1 units. I also picked up the greenhouse technology, allowing for another food production option during winter. I never end up using it. I have lots of food. This is the last stretch of wall to be built to complete my perimeter, and then I slap down stone towers so I can install more siege weapons at a moment's notice. As I muster my army for tonight's wave, which is coming back to the same spot, I want to note that I've trained quite a few new swordsmen and knights. I don't feel a melee force this large is necessary. With enough archers and trebuchets, I think my walls are tanky enough. But hey, I'm learning. I upgrade as much of my army as I can and take on another wave. I have like 1,000,000 gold, so right before it kicks off, I'll install some of these banners on my walls. They provide an aura to my troops in a small radius with 4 different buff options: armor, damage, healing, or attack speed. I'd never used them before, and they're actually quite powerful. I can assign these banners to both walls and troops, buffing my army. With my elevated, reinforced position, buffed units firing barrages of flaming arrows, plus ballistae bolts and trebuchet stone raining from above, the wave stands no chance. In fact, I'm so confident in my position that I'm going to attack this tower now that the wave is over. As I mentioned before, this will trigger a forced Blood Moon wave, plus will include a boss. I'm sure they've got it. I'm going to keep building. The next wave is coming from this direction, a position that I already have nicely fortified. I'm keeping my now 4 siege workshops busy producing ammunition for the weapons, on top of new weapons to broaden my coverage. This is all requiring more resources to maintain, and my economy continues to fall. I have hit the point, though, where I'm no longer trying to build up. It's my turn to be the aggressor, taking down these towers and winning the game. My economy is weakening, but it's still robust enough to go hog wild, reinforcing my walls with more siege weapons and stone towers. I've continued adding markets, but there's no point anymore. I'm out of resources to trade, so they provide no additional income. Before the boss wave comes, I'll add whatever remaining reinforcements I can. More spikes! The first boss wave is upon me. It's split into 2 groups, one with a siege tower led by the boss, and another with a battering ram heading for my gate. As my ranged attacks rip through the enemy ranks, I open my gate manually to let my melee soldiers into the action, drawing this wave into my trap. Sounds clever, but totally unnecessary. My gates would have held up for a long time. This boss ends up being not that threatening, though he is being targeted by like 7 siege weapons and 50 upgraded archers. He falls without incident, and the second wave is inbound. I clean it up easily, and my confidence has never been higher. Remember how I said that I'd never worry about food storage again? I need more. Now I shouldn't have to worry about it again? I spend the day upgrading my walls, troops, and reinforcing for tonight's natural Blood Moon wave. I cut through it without incident, even with trolls starting to spawn. Oh wow. Oh, okay man, look at your gold. See how it isn't improving no matter how many markets you place? Maybe stop? I'll take down the second tower. I wonder which boss I'll face tonight. And the wave is coming from this direction again. Lovely. I honestly don't even know which boss this was. I crushed the wave without mercy. This is easily my strongest position, now with my siege weapons backing up a force of 100 strong. It's a new day, and I see another tower that needs renovating? It's coming from the same position again. This is amazing. Okay, army, position yourselves here again. My population has skyrocketed to 254, though it still feels like I'm not generating residents fast enough. I keep training more archers and upgrading my existing ones. Aha! Look! Production. 0 gold. Stop building them. Delete a bunch. These market workers can do literally anything else. In the early game, I spent all of my gold exchanging for wood, then stone in the mid-game, and now it's all about iron to continue upgrading my troops. Ballista bolts are just not worth this much iron. I'm perpetually out of it. I have continued to slap down additional decorations to increase my happiness and therefore population growth. It's marginally better. Okay, third boss wave. Let's see how this one goes. And the answer is not good? Not because the wave is sizable. My army deals with that in no time flat, especially now that my trebuchets are firing flaming boulders. Amazing. No, my problem is that after the wave is seemingly over, but not, they just keep spawning out of this barracks thing that spawned, so I send in my units to attack it. But it's glitched under the ground or something? My units cannot attack it at all. Even with every single troop in range of it, they cannot hit this barracks that spawned with the wave. I seriously spent so long here. The wave just kept spawning and leveling up and spawning, so fine. I'll reload and autosave. I'm still gonna try another boss wave. Instead of that tower though, I'll do this tower. I don't really like loading an autosave, but I don't feel like there was anything that I did wrong there. If the wave had wiped me out and I lost, that's fair enough, but for some kind of glitch or something that happened, I'll reload. I want to see this through. I'll get my army staged again, and hopefully tonight's wave is completable? The wave is still impressive, and look at this absolute unit that spawned with it. As intimidating as this boss ram looks, it's still no match for my firepower. I carve through the wave in no time, and I'm allowed to proceed with my playthrough. The next wave is spawning back over at this position, so hopefully spawning this boss wave in a new location is the answer. I gotta say, if I were the enemy looking at this setup, I'd be feeling a little uncertain about tonight's raid. I'm going to spread more buffing banners through my archers on the walls and admire the stats on my elite archers. Level 5 buffed archers do 92 damage compared to level 1 archers base 20. The siege begins, and this time the lunar barracks spawns above the ground. Hooray! It's looking better already. Once again, the enemy stands no chance. The siege towers don't even make it close to my walls, let alone posing a threat. I send my troops out to deal with the barrack, and I'm still having trouble targeting the thing. I retreat to think about my options, but notice that when my units are actively targeting the structures, so are my trebuchet and archers. Once I realize this, my army quickly raises the structure, and the wave continues to break against my walls. Then even more troops come. There are more of these archer immune guys to complicate my life, but my walls are thick. I send in my melee troops, and shortly after, I have successfully completed the game. I can continue facing endless waves, but for a first playthrough back in this game, I'm quite happy with these results. I had some close calls, plenty of learning, and of course, a ton of fun. While grinding away on my next Factorio saga, I watched the channel inch closer and closer to 25,000 subscribers. Then, Becastled officially released, I hit a creative sticking point in Factorio, and on a whim, this project was born. 25,000 is an incredible milestone, and I can't thank you all enough for your support, engagement, and viewership. And to those of you who go the extra mile and support the channel directly, thank you for your incredible generosity. This quick video, well, quick by my recent standards anyways, is my little thank you for 25K. Who's up for 50? Also, would you like to see more short projects like this in between my bigger releases? Thank you for watching. Much love, and stay exceptional.